Howdy. Oi. Howdy. We are going to be looking at the Coda Synapse today. I have been a big fan of the Synapse for a very long time, and so it was cool to get an upgrade to it. Though I wish it got a little something more fancy than what they did, but I suppose we'll just have to take what we can get. Now, if you don't know what the Synapse is, it is a beam weapon that is infested, and outside of being a beam weapon with high stats, it doesn't really have much to do or much unique to it. It's just kind of like big PP damage beam weapon, or at least that's how it used to be. It does have something better on it now, but it's still more or less just a stat increase. So first we're going to compare it to the normal version of the Synapse. So the Coda has a 6 higher magazine from 70 to 76. It goes from 0 punch through base to 1.2. This being the main upgrade, other than damage, of course, is punch through because now it can hit multiple enemies without having to mod punch through onto the weapon, which is nice to have, I suppose. Beam range increased from 27 to 32 meters. Also, they added beam range as like a stat now onto beam weapons, so that's nice. The crit chance went from 39 to 40%, a whopping 1% increase. Crit multiplier still at 2.7. Status from 13 to 15%, 2% increase. And then corrosive damage went from 20 to 26. So that's okay, right? 30% damage increase is nice, but that's also not taking into account the extra damage you get from the progenitor. So if you get that up to 60%, then it's going to be 1.3 times, or sorry, it's going to be the base damage times 1.3 times 1.6. So it ends up being a pretty decent damage increase. Much, much, much higher damage. But other than that, it's still the same weapon, right? It's just kind of a beam weapon. No chaining, no like special on kill effects. I wish they would have given it like headshot kills create crap, what are they called? The infested maggots. That's what it is. Headshot kills create infested maggots. That would have been so cool. Maybe we'll get like an augment that does that in the future, but for now it's literally just more damage, more or less. Now, for the build, there are a couple ways you can go with it, but the main two I would recommend would be electric or gas. You can build it for blast damage, though it doesn't have very much synergy with blast because it doesn't have chaining effects. Any of the chain beams would be significantly better if you're going to go for that. And this really prioritizes headshots because it does have a unique trait for 20% more headshot damage. And this is multiplicative, so very, very nice. You want to be getting those headshots. In Blast cannot get headshots, so that's a yowzas. Now, electric is a status effect that can get headshots, so that is very, very good because it means it can make use of the headshot multiplier. And gas is the same way. Gas clouds can also benefit from a headshot multiplier increase. First, we're going to show electric though. Because it has corrosive at base, that doesn't mean you can armor strip with the weapon itself. You don't have to build armor strip in your loadout, so that's nice to have. Though, if you don't have high enough like fire rate or something, I do feel at times it doesn't strip as fast as I would like, though that rarely becomes an issue. Another benefit to electric is it has no negative multiplier against any faction. It just gets extra damage in general. For the build, it's fairly standard, multi-shots, galvanized scope for crit chance, big crit chance, since we're going for headshots anyways and it has a crazy 40% base crit chance. Critical delay for more crit chance, and we lose a bit of fire rate, but that's balanced out by vial acceleration, giving us a ton of fire rate. Normally I would go with prime tread here, but it already has punch through and we don't really need more punch through, so more fire rate's better. Stormbringer and high voltage, so we get a bit of status chance and lots of electric damage for both damage on the weapon, damage on the electric DOTs, and electric weighting, so it gets more electricity procs over corrosive. Vital Sense for crit damage, Galvanized Aptitude, which is additive on this weapon. This is where our base damage is coming from, plus the status chance is nice. Sinister Reach for a bit of beam length, this is unnecessary. And then Primary Deadhead, because this will be even more base damage on top of our Galvanized Aptitude. And the Headshot Multiplier, on top of the unique trait, will benefit Electric, the status, on top of the damage itself, the base damage on the weapon. Very, very nice. And because Electric has AoE, it does pseudo fix the lack of AoE on the weapon. Nothing affecting our damage on our Warframe and no companion or anything. So we will just be showing the weapon itself. We have no damage increase, like base damage, until we get a kill. Not only that, but we have negative 15% damage from Vile Acceleration. So the first kill is going to be a little bit harder than the rest. Though you can see it's still not that bad. Like, that wasn't bad at all. We had no viral procs or anything. And then after that, once you start building up all the stacks and stuff, it's gonna just melt everything with very little effort. It is really, really good single target damage. We're only able to get a few corrosive procs before they're dead. And Electric doesn't even get a chance to take more than once, oftentimes. Now we got all of that up. So let's shoot them in a line like this. I'd say that's pretty solid. It's a little hard to hit headshots like in a row in a line, or at least for me, because I suck at the game. Now, if we were to add in a viral proc or two, like with, say, the Epitaph, simulate these guys. Shabam. We'll do a second shot. There we go. Now it's really going to melt. I mean, most times you're going to have viral from some source. Did they make cold? Why are they bright white? Did they... What? Did I miss something? Did they make cold procs way brighter on enemies? That's strange. And of course, because it has AoE on the weapon, it's got, you know, pseudo, or not pseudo, I mean, it is. It's got quadratic scaling, you know. You group them up, hit all of them, all the procs spread, yada, yada, yada. I think you probably know what that is by this point in time. And then they all just die. I am unsure as to whether or not I prefer electric or gas on this. Both are pretty solid. Gas is going to struggle more in single target damage though, and I feel like if you're using this weapon, you want more single target damage than AoE. You want AoE, that is nice, because not having AoE on a weapon in this game is basically a death sentence. It completely kills it compared to other weapons, but you're still going to want to focus more or less on big single target damage because that's what it specializes in. That being said, gas is still a very good option. The build here is exactly the same, except we switched the 2 electric mods for Malignant Force and Thermite rounds, so we do have higher status chance now. And that's literally it. The rest of the build is exactly the same. So we're just going to reset these guys and then show it again. They perform very, very similarly. You can't tell much of a difference, or at least I personally can't tell much of a difference most of the time. It is, yeah, see, it's basically the same on the first kill. Then we start building it up by getting all of these other kills. We're going to have more AoE than the electric, but less damage the more we shoot something. Like, if we shoot an enemy to the point they have capped out procs, then we're wasting all of our status procs after that. So you shoot a line of guys, they all die, right? But if you're shooting one big thick enemy and you get hit 10 gas clouds and 10 corrosive clouds, well, you're just wasting damage that could have been electric procs. Generally speaking, I'd say most people are probably going to prefer gas on this weapon over electric. But for what I do specifically, I would rather have electric damage. Either one, though, you're not going to go wrong with either setup. Very, very nice. I do really like how this weapon looks. It's so gnarly. Oh my god, it's beautiful. I love it. I love it so much. They just took the base Synapse, added more tentacles and glowing. What else can you ask for? It's beautiful. Now, I don't really know what I'd do if I were to build into this with a loadout other than just like damage buffs and stuff. You can go something other than electric gas. Like, let's say you wanted to go heat. You could put heat on the weapon to be like a pseudo flamethrower thingy. But I don't recommend that. It's not really worth it. As far as Rivens go, it has a dispo of 1, painfully bad. You're not really going to want a Riven for it, because 1 Riven dispo, I would rather just use a normal mod, honestly. Like, it's not that great, Riven disposition-wise. I'm not really sure what else to talk about the weapons, so I guess we will just go into a mission. I'm gonna bring gas into it since that's what I think most people are probably gonna be using over electric. So let's go into a mission. Here we are in Mott Survival, the good old classic testing grounds for stuff. I have Nautilus here because Nautilus is, well, it's Nautilus. Grouping benefits grass. Grouping benefits gas. Why can I not say that word? Holy shit. Grouping benefits gas greatly because of the quadratic scaling. So we want something that can group like that. There's a lot of things you can use in the game that will group, but Nautilus is going to be the most consistent and the easiest to use because it takes very little effort. Plus, we have Viral on the Hellstrom for some extra status procs, plus Viral in general is going to be more damage. Everything just gets sucked into a blender of gas and it all dies. Fairly effective, I'd say. Very, very big PB. I don't know about running Hildryn with this specific setup. We do have the... I don't know why can't I remember what it is. The augment that lets you duplicate your Sentinel, but you got to be able to spend energy. It's very important to what I have on my Sentinel right now, and you can't spend energy on Hildryn, so it doesn't even work. So we really don't have very good viral application. Panzer Vulpifilo would be better here for that, but we would lose the grouping. And the grouping is honestly more important than the viral, or at least to me it is right now. Something I forgot to mention while in the simulacrum or go over was the progenitor. Because even though we have gas, I do still have an electric progenitor, so we have some electric damage. Not much, but some. So that is there. I don't think I would want to go with a heat progenitor or toxin progenitor for gas, because it's not going to increase the damage to gas clouds, because it's not actual gas damage. And it's also gonna make it so you get more gas procs, and we don't need that because we're already going to be getting to 10 decently fast. And gas procs past the first one don't actually increase the damage, they just increase the AoE. So we end up getting a less armor strip and less damage if you have too much weighting on your gas. So do not get a heat progenitor or a toxin progenitor if you're going to go for this specifically. I would just stick probably with the electric or cold. Cold is also a nice option. You could freeze enemies then and get some extra crit damage. It's up to you which you would go for. It doesn't really affect the weapon all that much though, or at least not for what we're using it as. Come on, suck them onto a group. Do it again. I want to see the blender. Anytime this year. Anytime this year. Hello, Nautilus, do your job. Apparently his cooldown is like taking 1,000 years. Oh, he's dead. Never mind. I'm dumb. Now look. Hell gets sucked in. They're all dead. Beautiful. It's not, to be completely honest here, this isn't a very amazing weapon in the grand scheme of things, because you can always increase your damage in other ways, like buff your damage from your warframe and stuff, but adding AoE to something is a lot harder. Like you can really just do gas and electric or blast, and that's about it. So you're better off probably using like Glaxion, Tenet, or Tenet Glaxion or whatever, or any of the other chain beam weapons. This is going to perform worse most of the time. I like it because it's fun. I like how it sounds. I like how the beam looks. It's very unique as far as beam weapons go. I like using it. It's a very interesting weapon. But if you're just going for something that's like really strong, then this probably isn't going to matter much. And I think that's really the case for a lot of the Coda weapons. They're just they're good. They're not great, but they're good. There's a lot of better options for most of the Coda weapons. Now, there are some that are like absolutely wackadoodle. I think I've heard the shotgun's really good, and I can only imagine the sniper is crazy good, because even the base Catabolist was amazing. Like, the cultured individuals that used it knew it was busted and now has an even fancier version. So there are good Coda weapons, but generally speaking, I think most of them are just okay. Because a lot of them, they didn't give them unique aspects to them. Like Tenet weapons, especially, Kuva and Tenet weapons, but mostly Tenet weapons. A lot of the weapons got a unique trait, something that got added to them. Like Arcoplasm or shots ricochet. Well, most of the Coda weapons are just straight up stat increases, and that's it. It's like, here, we fixed the terrible base stats. And that's all they did. realistically, they could have just like buffed the base stats on the weapons instead of adding Coda weapons for a lot of these, but it is what it is. Overall, it's an okay weapon. If you're interested in it, get it. If you're not, you're fine to live without it. It's really not going to make that big of a difference to your account. So, grab it if you feel like it. That's it for the video, I guess. If you liked the video, then leave a like and subscribe. Adios.